Good morning, fellow Toastmasters, officers, distinguished guests, phantom listeners. Yesterday's email message to my team spoke of a British lad. Part of it read, a British JD attended art school in England and graduated. Later, while cleaning his house, one day he became frustrated with his vacuum cleaner in about 1978. Seeing that the bag's pores became quickly clogged with dirt, limiting their suction power, he determined to create a solution using a cyclonic speed of air to separate dirt particles and build a better solution. Without an engineering degree, he worked for 15 years, 5,127 failed prototypes before finally delivering in year 2002 his product. That was not the best year economically to introduce an expensive product into the United States after 9/11's economic effect on us. But he delivered what was considered to be an overpriced vacuum cleaner. Today, his net worth is over $6.5 billion, according to Forbes estimates. He's in his late 50s. Have you ever used a Dyson vacuum cleaner? They are not cheap, but they are great. Frustration can spur determination. Great products and services are worth more. Persistence towards a goal can pay off, even in bad markets. It did for James Dyson. It will for you. I send out an email message like this every morning designed to inspire and ready a team of headhunters who will endeavor to improve the commercial and industrial construction industry. Regardless of the industry that you face daily, you too can put a, quote, dent in the universe, as Steve Jobs liked to say. The last time I spoke, I reminded you of a young student and a sage teacher's illustration. The sage teacher asked a student to climb up just a bit into a tree to see a blazing fast horse passing by with a passenger driver on top of the horse. The instructor charged the boy to find out where he was going. The young student shouted out to the horseman, "Where are you going on such a rapid mission?" The horseman called out, "I have no idea. Ask the horse." The sage teacher instructed the young man and the student that such are many of our lives if we do not have clear written goals, if we do not have a specific action plan or map. We may end up at a destination that we did not choose or long for. We may be disappointed. If we choose our goals and pursue a purposeful strategic plan to achieve our goals, then we may end up at our goals realization sooner than we expected, or sometimes a bit longer than we expected, but the destination will be one that we thoughtfully chose. I usually don't watch the show SouthPark, but a friend urged me to watch an episode. And in this unique episode, the character Tweak repeatedly finds as a little boy that his underpants are being stolen. He is frustrated by this, so he invites his friends over, a sleepover one night to catch the thief. They actually catch a gnome stealing them, and Tweak asks, "What are you stealing my underpants for? That's my last one." The gnome explains, it's all part of the business plan, and invites them to the gnome headquarters. The boys oblige and are led to the gnome headquarters, where they see the busyness of wheelbarrows of underpants being moved around, contributing to piles of underpants everywhere. The gnomes explained that step one, or phase one, of their business plan was to collect underpants and bring them to the headquarters. The boys asked, "What's the second phase? What's step two?" The gnome introduces them to the gnome CEO, who explains, "We have a 3-step plan for our business," and he fires up a PowerPoint presentation. The slides display. Slide number 1, collect underpants. Slide number 2 has a question mark. We haven't figured this one out yet. And then they get to slide number 3, it says profits. And each gnome enthusiastically cheers. There's much rejoicing. They hadn't figured out yet step number 2, the doing, but it would hopefully lead to step number 3, the profits. How many of us have taken step 1 to write out our goals, whether relational, health and fitness, business goals, educational, self-development, self-improvement, or other goals? If you have, congratulations. It's amazing how often they can come true just because we identified and wrote them with nothing much more. I don't know how, but often they do appear as achievements just because our subconscious minds moves us in their direction, somehow mysteriously. Like the gnomes in the SouthPark episode, though, how many of us have not quite made it to step number 2? How many of us have not written out a strategic plan to achieve our goals? Often some research needs to go into this. Our written plans can include reaching out to mentors or others who've achieved success in the areas we are pursuing success in. This can include being mentored by books, podcasts, classes, interviews, research, mastermind groups, and other means, or at least an accountability partner. I recommend interviewing and learning from others who have achieved your goals, asking them what they read, what their favorite book was, what they tried that didn't work, what tips they can provide as we pursue our goals. That is precisely what mastermind groups are for, or at least accountability partners, for that specific purpose, meeting either quarterly, monthly, whatever frequency you set up, to learn from others and to grow professionally or personally. Just as James Dyson tried and failed over 5,000 times to create the vacuum cleaner he wanted, just as Thomas Edison tried and failed over 10,000 times to create a working electric light bulb, failure does not mean the end of a journey. It means try again with more knowledge of what doesn't work as well. Make notes and learn from mistakes. Work towards better methods to deliver better results. I'll give you one general tip called an RR, a relational review. A couple months ago, I tried this one. I asked my wife, may I ask you for an honest answer? Where are we in our relationship from your lens or perspective on a scale of 1 to 10? I received her answer. It wasn't a 10. Then I asked, what could I have done differently over the past few weeks or months? Or what could I possibly do better and improve over the next several weeks or months to improve my score closer to the 10 mark instead of the other direction? She paused, she smiled and said, I'm not really sure, but I will think about it and I'll give you an answer later, but I really appreciate that question. She said, I think you're asking that question maybe moves the score up just a little bit by itself. She later discussed some improvements that we could make, that I could make to improve our relationship. We celebrated 32 years of marriage a couple of weeks ago, and I will continue to work on our improvements. This method applies to educational goals, personal goals, fitness goals, self-improvement, business goals as well. It's business, life, sports, finances, clubs, startup ventures, whatever. Ask someone that you trust, or ask yourself, where am I? Or where are we on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being low, 10 being high, on our achievement of our mission. What could be done in retrospect and what could be improved in the near mid future to achieve a higher score? Using these KPIs, or these key performance indicators, call them KPIs for short, will allow us to see how we're improving. Then we will know how to correct our course towards our mission, our values, our goals, while improving our processes, the how-tos, the doing phase. Slide 2 of the notes. Knowledge is 10% of success, 90% is action. Taking in the best educational input, great mentors, books, great groups. We certainly grow through knowledge, but then we have to apply it through some form of strategic action plan to advance, to improve our processes. The more educated and tracked, the better the results of our processes. The doing phase, the roadmap, the strategy. Each employee at Apple was charged with finding their 3 key processes to improve their area of expertise in product development. The question, what's your 3, was commonly asked. Thus, they were always improving and able to give an answer, often hearing that their 3 improvement strategies were told, there's got to be a better way. Keep working on it. Any wonder why Apple Computer has more cash than the US Treasury? I'd like to share a final explanation or an illustration to you that Tom Yeager, contributing editor to Success Magazine, shared about his interviews with UCLA and the NBA's winningest coach, John Wooden. John Wooden shared that we must become like the 5 people we spend the most time with professionally, personally, and in service organizations. He suggested to his team members that you draw 2 lines down a sheet of paper and label 3 columns up top of the paper: professional life, personal life, and associates in, say, service, such as clubs, church, service to the community. He instructed his winning team members to list the 5 people that they spend the most time with in each sector: professional life, personal life, associates in service, and ask if they had the same goals, values, principles, if they were going where you want to go. and thus might help you become a better professional, a better person or family man or woman, a better service provider to the community. He likely learned this from Jim Rohn, who likely learned it from Earl Schoaf, from previously Paul J. Meyer, as this principle has been around for centuries. He suggested to his winning team members that they aspire to always be improving and to spend time with people who believed in improving in the directions they aspired to. We can apply the same thing in every area of our lives, from acquaintances, the books we read, and so on. Coach Wooden emphasized to make sure that we were giving at least as much as we received from each of these 5 people we associated with professionally, personally, and in service. He taught his team and his family to be a giver, a lifter of others. Giver to and a lifter of others. By the way, John Wooden led his UCLA team, that team, to win 620 games in 27 seasons and 10 NCAA titles during his last 12 seasons, including 7 in a row from 1967 to 73. Just as John Wooden loved being a teacher, a giver, so should we be givers and share with those who wish to learn from us. It does take action, applying what we learn and practicing it regularly. To summarize, we can improve our industries, our communities, our lives when we have a roadmap, a wisely crafted strategy. How to get there? Step 1, write out clearly defined goals in each area. Number 2, write out a carefully prepared action plan to achieve these goals. Number 3, always be learning, tracking, improving our processes daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annually, and review them. Also being a part of a mastermind group, or at least an accountability buddy who will help us practice the iron sharpening iron method of getting better. And lastly, pay attention to your circle of 5 in each area, personally, professionally, and in service, and learn from those who are more successful than you. You only go broke if you take your advice from other broke people with broke goals. Lastly, be a giver to each you encounter. You'll find that they will guide you to others who may help you achieve your, quote, dent in the universe. Without at least some of these, if not all, you may find yourself rapidly working feverishly toward a destination you're not happy with. Using these proven methods, you will most likely succeed if you persist and have some of these guidelines. You will improve the universe you work in. In closing, don't be like the gnomes who have not figured out their strategy and roadmap. Plan your path. Dwight Eisenhower said during World War II that once bullets started flying, specific plans needed modification, but the planning process was invaluable. Aim to be like the James Dysons and Thomas Edisons, the Steve Jobs and the Elon Musks, who passionately put dents in their universes. Listen for ways to improve daily. Be a giver and contributor to your industry space, and I will look forward to hearing mentoring advice from you in the very near future. Thanks for listening today. Let me know how I can improve and help you to improve by dropping me a line in the chat box. Thanks for the opportunity to speak with you today. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.